Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Caught me a little off guard tonight. How's everyone doing? It is Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that means it is Real Money Coach time. I was listening for the countdown and the da-da-da-da, and apparently we had some technical difficulties that threw me a little bit off, but I'm glad that you're watching. And if you're watching, you know exactly what to do in the chat. Let us know where you are watching from. What city, what state are you watching from? We have a very good show for you tonight. And I think it's so interesting. Those of you who have seen the flyer, the title of the show is New Rent City. And y'all got to you got to just stay to find out what that's all about, right? You got to stay to find out what that's all about. I'm excited. I'm excited about everything that we have going. Thank you all for tuning in to the Radio One show on Praise 100.9. If you did listen to last Saturday, you know who our guest is already. Ed, the rapping real estate agent, will be with us, sharing some nuggets and some knowledge about real estate. And so we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to just sharing some information with you about business. Tell us what's going on. Tell us what's going on. Y'all ain't nobody's put in the chat yet where you're watching from. Come on, put in the chat where you're watching from. I know my faithful, my locals that always put in the chat that they're watching. I'm looking for you in the chat right now. Tell me where you're watching from. There's so much going on. Ruth Bell is in the house. That's what I'm talking about. Ruth Bell is watching. Once Ruth Bell checks in, y'all, it's time for the show. It is time for the show. Thank you, Ruth, for being here each and every week. Such a faithful watcher and supporter of the Real Money Coach. And listen, there is so much going on right now. When you look at it, I was talking about it earlier on the radio show last Saturday. It's talking about this thing called inflation. You talking about uh, inflation of um, for the month of June was 9.1%, 12-month inflation. Thank you for being here. Thank y'all for checking in from North Carolina. Listen, it is crazy, the inflation rate and how it's just continuing to skyrocket. And so we're just talking about some things there. Alice Martin, thank you for watching as well. Thank you all for coming on in, being a part of the Real Money Coach show every Tuesday evening. And listen, I am going to go ahead right now at this moment. I'm going to bring my co-host on so y'all can say hello to Miss Michelle Mitchell of Mitchell's Consulting. Hey, Michelle.
Hey Tony, how you doing?
I am doing well, Michelle. I'm surviving. I'm doing this thing, right?
I know, right?
So you guys know that Michelle and I, we go back a long way. Her and my wife are best friends, and so what's been going on is, of course, many of you who know me well know that, that we have had some health challenges in our family, and my wife is away, and I'm like a fish out of water.
Yes, you
You
are.
know, I'm like a fish out of water. I don't have my helpmate.
Mhm.
And we will celebrate next Monday, y'all. We will celebrate 30 years. Many of y'all know that. I've been talking about it for a while. But one of the things, Michelle, and we had plans, we had
Mhm.
reservations set. We're really looking forward to getting away. But things happen.
Yeah,
And you have to roll with, that's kind of how life is.
you
And so
do.
we had to change our plans, change our
Mhm.
reservations, and those type of things, move them a bit later. But
Mhm.
it still doesn't take away from the fact that 30 years, you guys just celebrated your 30 years. So
Yes,
it'll
we
be
do.
even that much sweeter when we do go in a couple months, maybe.
Yeah. And I told your lovely wife anyway. I'm like, he's still gonna be there. You still gonna be there. So yes, it's a day to celebrate, but you still gonna be together. So
But you know what?
yeah.
And I had not done this. So, but I had not done this. Okay. So numbers, geek, right?
Right.
So 365 days times 30 years, that's 10,950 days.
Yes.
So we celebrate 30-year, wedding anniversary.
Hmm.
But there was over 10,000 days, almost 11,000 days,
Yes.
and
And
every
y'all
one of
only been
those
apart
days.
10. And you can't take it.
I can't take it. I
Can't
can't take it.
take it.
Because Lisa and I mean, we normally, I mean, it'd be a couple days here and there,
Yeah.
maybe if I
Mhm.
travel or something like that. But normally we always roll together. We
Yes, you
always roll
do. You
together.
do.
And so it's been kind of that way ever since we met. That's
Yeah.
why we almost, didn't graduate.
I know. Right.
Right? Because you and
Hmm.
Lisa were roommates. But nonetheless, thank you all who have kept my family in your prayers and that type of thing as we are going through the challenge and what have you. But the one thing I can say to everybody, and this is the thing, is that God is good and He's
Yes, you is.
faithful and He will do exactly what He's going to do. And
Hmm.
so I believe that. I believe in God's favor on my life. I believe it on my family's life. I believe it in everyone that we associate with. And so I'm still excited. I'm just
Yes,
excited. And, and that's just, I think, just one of the things about life is that you have to change.
you
Now,
do.
here's the thing. So some of you know who are on my team, and is that we also recently purchased a house.
Hmm.
And so, in the midst of this is the strange thing we're talking about. So, when we actually closed on the house, I was out of town working.
Right.
I was in Mississippi. It was a virtual close.
Yes.
And then we're actually moving in the house, and Lisa's not here. I was
Yes.
like, how did this happen? We got this house, a dream house, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't experienced it together yet,
Together. Yes.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of interesting. But, like I said, God is good. Thank you, Harvey Jones, for dialing in from all the way from Birmingham, Alabama, not Arkansas, Birmingham, Alabama. And Harvey, put in the chat, man. You and your wife just celebrated an anniversary. And if I remember correctly, I believe it's 45 years or
Wow.
49 years. Straighten me out on that, Harvey Jones. How long have you and Linda been married? I saw the picture, and I thought just amazing. So, Michelle, so what's going on in Kalamazoo? Anything new business wise? Anything we need to share with the folks tonight? Let's that.
Business wise, I'm getting myself back into the rhythm of things again, working since the vacation.
Gotcha.
And I'm just working to help people. So one of the things that will be coming up shortly, I can't remember if we picked the date or not, so I don't have it for you tonight. But being prepared as a business owner, what do you need to do now to be prepared for a recession?
I think that's a really
Yeah.
appropriate topic. And Harvey Jones, thank you. He put in 49 years, right?
Congratulations.
That's awesome, Harvey.
Mhm.
Congratulations. I don't know how Linda did it. I'm just playing, Harvey. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But yeah, that's wonderful. Great couple. But that's been a topic. I mean,
Yeah.
and some of the things I've been doing on the radio in terms of the Money Minute,
Hmm.
Praise 100.9 is around recession. How
Yeah.
how do you um, how do you how do you handle this thing called recession?
Yes.
And we did an ebook quite a while ago that's on the realmoneycoach.com, the ebook called Recession Proof Your Retirement.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the book came out this February. But, those are things that are on people's mind because when you
Hmm.
go to the gas pump, you see
Right.
the prices at the gas pump, you
Hmm.
see them in the gas store, I mean, in the grocery store.
Hmm.
And we are going to really be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about real estate.
Hmm.
And I think we've seen it in real estate. The
Yeah.
real estate market has shifted. Back when we
Yes.
bought our houses, our first houses, it wasn't nothing like it is
No,
today. And
nothing.
so I'm really interested in unpacking this whole thing called real estate and just reminding people that we talk about four pillars of intergenerational wealth
Hmm.
transfer. Number one is proper management, right? So proper money management. And we say money management, we're not just talking about your budget and your cash flow, but
Right.
your credit, your debt, all
Right.
those things.
Hmm.
And most important, it is what? Your money
Mindset.
mindset, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
properly managing those things. And then we move into proper insurance, investments, retirement, that type of thing. And
Hmm.
then the next pillar is real estate.
Yeah.
It's just owning real estate, whether we're talking, and maybe we can have some questions tonight. We can get into income property because there's a
Hmm.
variety of different things you can do there, as well as owning your personal real estate and even um, investment property, commercial real estate, those
Right.
type of things. And then the fourth one is business development, where we
Yep.
can highlight business owners and people who are doing a really, really good job in that area. Whether it's a gig employee, I always talk, it could be gig or it can be multi-million dollar corporation.
Yeah.
But our country really thrives on small
On
business.
small
And
business.
so,
Yep.
so
Hmm.
those are the four pillars of intergenerational wealth that we talk about. And tonight we're going to be talking about real estate.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about real
Nice.
estate. So, what's the real estate market like in Kalamazoo?
It was really, really hot for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have very low inventory. So, excuse me, we have very low inventory. So, like, if your house goes on the market and it's priced right, you'll get multiple offers
Immediately, almost.
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not as
yeah.
hot as it was earlier, like earlier this year, but I still keep getting requests like, hey, put your house on the market. I'm like, but where am I going
Mm.
to go?
Well, that's the dynamic of it,
Yeah,
right?
it
The
is.
dynamic of it is your home price goes up.
Yes.
And if you sell it, now you put yourself in this market as a
Yes.
buyer. And so
Exactly.
now it's, so how does all that work? Well,
Yeah.
maybe we can find a rap artist or realtor or whatever, or something like that, right? Maybe we can find someone that can come by the Real Money Coach show tonight
That's
and
right.
unpack some of these questions we have about real estate. So I want y'all to do this. I want y'all to get ready to, I want you to get ready with your questions, put them in the chat. Um, any questions you have about real estate, let's take advantage of having an expert in front of us tonight. And so, how we're going to introduce him, Michelle,
You
is
gonna
we're
rap.
hmm?
You gonna rap.
Me. Hey, I used to have a little rap back in the day, right? I used to have a little rap. I used to say a little rap. I ain't gonna bust no bars tonight. Maybe we might get my man to come on and do a little something,
Right.
but that's our age, right? That's
Right.
our age.
Right.
I mean, hip hop was our age and
Yeah, it was.
all that. My kids were joking about fight the power and all that kind
Yep.
of stuff,
Yep.
and
Yep. Yep.
but that was us, right? That
It
was
was.
our era. So tonight we have a gentleman who is with EXP Realty, uh, working with a really good friend of the program, Mr. Sean Langston. And so he's going to come on and he's going to share some information with us. And the topic, as we said tonight, was New Rent City. Now, I'm going to show y'all why we call it New Rent City, because Dante's about to roll this. Dante, you got that queued up? We ready to go? All right, let's do it. Let's introduce our guest tonight by showing a little music video that he's starring in. All
Okay.
right, let's go.
Guys, thanks for coming out on such a short notice. We have a problem right now. In times like these, we need solutions.
See what's up.
I got this eviction notice that you gave me, and man, can I just please have more time?
Time? Time for what? You're late every month.
Man, this is crazy. This landlord keep on going up on rent. People can't afford that. They can barely afford what they're paying now.
But you went up on the rent $500. I really want to stay. Where am I going to go? Tent City?
You got a nice purse and you got some nice shoes. How about you sell some of that? But as far as time, and you ain't got no money, seems like you're out of both.
Y'all know me. I got a solution. This right here gonna change the world. This is what it creates. Generational wealth. Generational wealth for everybody. Yes. And God forbid, if they get another property and another one and another one, it's game over for real. Let's toast to that.
Yes. Sell bye, baby.
Mama, I made it. I got them keys. I got them keys. Yeah. Now I'm saying that renting was so wrong. Generational wealth is what I'm passing on. I'm on the path to wealth, so it won't be long. I got the keys to success, so it's on. No cap, the market crazy. People going crazy. Everybody wanna buy a house nowadays. You better catch the wave, don't be a slave to these landlords. You gotta make the first step. What can you afford? Call a lender, tell them get the bank up. In the meantime, while you waiting, stack that bank up. Eyes invest on everything, it'll go quick. Stay ready, be prepared, get a team that'll go quick. You see it and like it, then put her off on it. No, I really ain't playing, that's the game that we playing. Unfortunately, you don't have much time like a broke watch. And we ain't losing many bids, not on my watch.
Yo, I'm Bluff City, Memphis team with it. Ava Home Group, won't you show me how you get it? As the customer and the client, I hear you strong and committed. Walking them through the process as the bank transmitted. Defeat all denials, walk the green mile. When it comes to buying houses, they don't fake or sit around. You're working with the best, so you don't mean gotta stress. The whole team go hard in the paint and nothing less.
The market crazy, people going crazy. Everybody wanna buy a house nowadays. You better catch the wave, don't be a slave to these landlords. You gotta make the first step. What can you afford? The market crazy, people going crazy. Everybody wanna buy a house nowadays. You better catch the wave, don't be a slave to these landlords. You gotta make the first step. What can you afford?
Hey, what's up? How are you up?
Yeah, man. So I took care of that. So don't worry about
You
that.
out of here, man?
He's out of here.
My brother's keeping?
Yes, I am. You already know how we do.
Yeah, we had to do something about that cat, man.
Took care of what?
We took care of you. Your reign of terror is over, dog. Man, you're doing too much.
This is my city.
Hey, man. Hey. Down there, man. That's what I'm talking about. See you.
Mama, I made it. I got them keys.
That was good.
I love creativity.
Yes.
Let's bring on the stage the Rapping Real Estate. I don't know if his name is Ed or Nino Brown, but let's bring him on in. Ed, how you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm good. How y'all doing?
Welcome.
Man, welcome to the Real Money Coach, man. When I heard that on Saturday, the Rapping Real Estate Agent, man, I'm like, okay, we gotta go with that, man. So tell us, before we get into all this, how did the Rapping Real Estate Agent, how did that branding, how did that all come about, bro?
So actually, it started as an in-house joke at the house. I used to do music a long time ago. I used to write for Quad City DJs, 69 Boys, and a couple of groups. But I had this idea of making a rap talking about the home buying process. So I told my wife, I gave her the idea, and she was like, "Why are you doing this? Like, leave that in the past. You don't want to mess up a good name and your business and everything. Who are you, the Rapping Real Estate Agent?" And I was like, "That's exactly who I am." So I decided to do some commercials, kind of flipping regular songs and talking about the home buying process. And it's, I just built on top of that. And, I've been able to attract a lot of people to get houses with that form of marketing. It kind of started as a joke, but it ended up being something that I use for marketing.
Nice.
Well, I think it's pretty cool that in the new
Yeah.
rent city, the new rent city thing. And I think in this and we can talk a little bit about marketing because I think you do have to have branding, you do have to have a unique approach.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think about as you were talking about it is we talk about on this show all the time, thanks to Michelle coining this, and it is turning your passion into profit.
Right.
And if you're passionate about rapping and you're passionate about property, why not bring them together? So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just bringing those two worlds together. I mean, because I love to write. I still like to write now. So I have a whole album coming out called New Rent City that's geared toward the home buying process. But you're exactly right. When you bridge both of them together, I mean, you feel like you don't even work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, and a little bit about what agency you're with and that type of thing, and then we can kind of start unpacking some of this stuff, that's going on in the real estate market today.
Okay. My name is Ed Averette. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. So I was raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I don't know if y'all know about Duval, but that's where I'm from. The name of my team is the Ava Home Group / EXP Realty. We're licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Also ex-military. I was in the military. I'm very passionate about helping people get in the houses and create generational wealth because I think a lot of us, our community is underserved, and we just that's the quickest way to obtain wealth, and I'm just very passionate about doing that.
That's awesome. So man, what branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Army.
You're in the Army.
Nice.
Just thank you for your service.
Yeah.
First of all, man, because that's pretty serious. I was talking to a gentleman today, a contractor, and he was, I don't know how many generations military, and of course he bucked the system. He became a Marine. So everybody else in his family were Army, and he said he went the Marine route. Harvey Jones like that. But so that's pretty awesome to serve our country, and so now you're into this real estate. How did you get into real estate?
Well, I was working for a security company in Atlanta, and then I had a lot of clients that happened to be real estate agents, and I thought that was interesting. So I asked them how they got into real estate, and I finally talked to somebody. She told me to take the class, pass the exam, and you basically hang up your license with a brokerage. I had a couple of bad experiences when me and my wife were looking for houses. I felt like the real estate agents were showing me houses that they wouldn't live in.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting quality. I just didn't feel like we were getting quality service. So I felt like I could do a better job. So that was something that made me want to get into it.
Got it. And sometimes, we have experiences that actually our bad experience with something said, you know what, there's got to be a better way to do this, a better way to treat people, a better way to do that. And we've experienced that ourselves, even here recently, what we were told and what was actually the truth, not by the realtor, but by a lender, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I wonder too if this whole redlining thing, it still exists, right?
It
I
does.
think in
Right.
some regards. So, so tell us what's your process? What makes your process different than Joe Blow realtor down the street? Other than you can rap and he got to turn. He ain't even he can't even bust a beat. He can't even do a bebop, but you can rhyme and you can do the rap. This dude, he can't even put two sentences together. So tell us what's the difference between you and that guy down the street.
So the difference between me and my team and probably someone else, I'm not knocking them because they got to make their money too, is that I have, 14 years of experience in the industry. So I know about every scenario that you would have to go through to win your offer and not lose. So I have experience, passion. What I do is I sit down and I talk to my clients. I let them know what to expect. Even when I talk to them, a lot of people may not be ready right now, but they just need a game plan on how to get ready. So I treat them the same whether they're ready to go now or if they need a little work. So I think that's kind of probably what makes me different, because I actually care about the people. Even if they don't use me, I want to at least give them some nuggets that can help them so they can be able to obtain home ownership.
So you talked about 3 states. Was it 3 or 4? You got
4 states.
North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia,
And Florida.
And Florida.
Yeah.
So of those states, which one has the toughest market right now?
Which one has the best market? And all of them are pretty much the same. A lot of people are moving to Atlanta and the Georgia area. I'm a little partial to North Carolina because that's where I'm stationed at. So I would say probably North Carolina out of all of those.
Okay. So in this buy market, right? So you hear like people are putting or offering way over the asking price and that type of thing. How is that? How is that working? What is it doing to the housing? I'm interested in that piece, and then I'm interested in Ed, like we're seeing interest rates creep up, right? I think the average nationwide mortgage interest rate, the one I last saw was like 6.57%. And of course, if you've locked in, lower than that, thank God we did. But what do you how is all that dynamics? It just seems to be like
it's a lot of moving
dynamics, a lot of moving parts, right?
It's a lot going on. Even with all of that going on, people are still, they still have to find a place to stay. It's still going to be better than renting in most cases. But the first question you were asking about people going $10,000-$20,000 or more of an asking price, me personally, I think it's ridiculous. But
yeah.
But what do you do? That's the only way that they, clients have been able to win the offer. But there's other ways that they can win. What I usually ask the listing agent for my buyers is I ask them what's most important to your client. And sometimes it may not be the amount over asking price. It may be a quicker close. It may be, is the buyer flexible in terms of when they want to move out, because they may have a client that needs to sell, but they might need to live there in the house after it closes for a month or a couple weeks. So sometimes it's not all about that. What I've been seeing as of lately, the market is starting to shift.
Yeah.
So seeing a lot of 10, 20,000 is not as normal as it was, a couple of weeks or a month ago. So I'm starting to see that soften up. Instead of having 20 offers on a property, now I'm starting to see about 1 to 3. So it is getting better. So all my listeners out there, stick with it. It's getting better. Help is on the way. Now the interest rates, that's a different story.
Well, and I do think this though. I mean, and this is just me. I'm not pretending to be a mortgage expert or a real estate expert, but with the interest rates creeping up, that right there kind of brings down a person's buying power, right? Because the interest rate is going up. And if that person's buying power is coming down, it doesn't give the seller as much latitude to do all these other things that have become kind of norm in the market. So I think that all of that is kind of working together. You probably ended up with close to the same payment because the interest rates are higher, that type of thing.
Right.
Here's the thing. So even if the interest rate is a little higher than what you want it to be, you can always refinance. Not now, but if it goes down, next year or the year after next, you can always go back and refinance. You can't refinance rent. If your landlord is going up,
they refinancing your rent,
right?
They just going up $500 more. So
right.
I still feel like it's a good time to buy, but it's just you just have to make sure you get with the right team, make sure you're aligned with the right agents, loan officers, so everybody's on the same page.
Right.
And I think to see this comment, and I thought it was kind of interesting, is like when people were offering and still offering, that 20,000 above asking price. So the next piece of that is now the appraisal has to come.
Right.
And if the appraisal isn't as much as they offered, because they offered over the asking price, number one is that question that they're at. Number one is how is that handled, right?
Mhm.
And number two is to what our viewer is asking is, won't that cause that house to be upside down later?
Yeah. So what happens when the appraisal doesn't come back? Most of the listing agents, one of their questions is that, I mean, we talk about that up front. A good buyer's agent and listing agent will talk about that scenario up front. But most of the listing agents, they want something in writing saying that if it doesn't appraise, that your client is going to, pay the difference or waive the appraisal contingency. So that way, if it comes back and it doesn't appraise, it's already been discussed and agreed upon. I think it's legal documents that have to be binding between the seller and the buyer for that to be effective. But all of that is talk. If it's not spoken about and appraisal comes back lower, then in some cases, I know in North Carolina, if you don't have an agreement and it comes back lower, then the seller has more leverage with that due diligence money, and they'll put it back on the market and keep their money
Oh wow.
if they don't come to terms. So it just depends on which state, and it depends on what the agreement is up front.
Yeah, and I thought that was, to me, North Carolina is really like different with this. I mean, due diligence money. I mean, and you're talking about, we ain't talking about earnest money. We're talking about due diligence money that if you walk or the deal falls, you lose that money. And you're seeing big due diligence money in the market.
Right.
Right. And let me answer the listener's question too. They said, will the house be upside down? It just really just depends.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the house. Sometimes, I mean, the higher that you go above, of course, there's a bigger possibility for it to be upside down. But what's been happening in the market is that the values have been going so high, even if they take a hit of $10,000, it's been jumping right back up in a couple of months. So that's what we've been seeing in the past. My personal opinion is that it's not going to continue. The values aren't going to skyrocket like they were before. I think they're going to taper off. I don't think it's going to be a big crash or anything like that because there's not a lot of inventory. But I think it's going to. I think the prices are going to be more. They're going to kind of flatten out instead of going up so high.
Supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's marketing 101. When the supply is low, the prices go up.
Right. And nationwide, there's a supply shortage in housing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting that as I was doing a little research, it said that the inventory was down like 4% nationwide, and the home prices were up 14%. And in the median home in the United States now is 407,000.
Yeah, I believe that.
The median home price across the United States. Now, of course, what's driving that up is, like Ed's house and bringing all that stuff way up there. But that's just a tremendous number. You think about that. 407,000 is the median house price in the United States. That's huge.
Well, some of these cities, I mean, like Charlotte, I remember Charlotte about 4 years ago. You can get a brand new house in Gastonia for like 135,000. But now, what the average price out there is probably about 400,000. So it's just, I think some of these markets have just caught up with some of these bigger markets, and then with the pandemic, I see people moving around too. Like a lot of people from New York are moving here. A lot of people from Florida. A lot of people from Cali. So people are starting to move. So that's why I think a lot of these markets are getting saturated.
Now, so Ed, are you saying now that COVID is kind of being, it's kind of easing up? I guess I'll say it this way. It's supposed to be. I have a really hard time saying that because I know so many people that recently had COVID and COVID myself, right? so, but do you think that because they're loosening the guidelines and all this, that people are starting to move? Because do you think COVID, did it cause the low inventory? Was
No,
that
no. I don't think COVID caused it, but I think it caused people that if they wanted to move to a certain city, a lot of people are working from home. So since they work from home, a lot of times they can work in different locations. So I think people have started to open up people's minds to move in different places. That's what I've been seeing.
They can live in a more economical area.
Yeah.
and
As
still
well.
hang on to their job?
And still hang on to that high paying job
Exactly.
that you work from home. Yeah.
Absolutely. Makes sense. So what would you, if I was sitting down with a client, a friend, or someone associate, and they're like, hey, I rent, but I want to wait for this housing market to come down before I seriously talk about buying, what would be your recommendation to them?
My recommendation would be not to wait. I would, if they're at the credit score that can get them qualifying, which I work with lenders that they can go down to a 580 credit score. I would at least talk to a loan officer and just kind of look and see where you're at in terms of the programs that are available in your buying power. Because I mean, if you wait, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the interest rates and everything, but definitely would see where you're at. It's a lot of people that kind of they X themselves out of the process because they don't even try. They don't even put forth the effort to see if they can get pre-approved or not. So I would suggest that they talk to a lender first, unless they don't have a qualifying credit score or something like that. Or if they know they don't have the money saved up to buy a house, then they may have to wait.
Because it appears to me, anyway, that it takes more cash to buy a house today than it did a year.
When we bought a house.
Yeah, when we bought a house, right?
Right.
You get a good faith letter or what was that, a gift letter, right? A gift letter or whatever, and you go in, you can close on the house and go ahead and move in. It seems like those days are done.
Yeah.
You definitely, I tell all my clients, even if you're getting down payment assistance, you at least want to have anywhere between $4,000 to $5,000 to get started.
Right.
You're gonna have to pay earnest money. If you're in North Carolina and you're getting a resale, you got due diligence money. You have your inspection and you have your appraisal. So you at least want to have at least $4,000 to $5,000.
You said at least, and that depends on what house you're buying, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that all it plays a part in that too. So this due diligence thing, and again, this due diligence in North Carolina. Yeah, every time I say that, you drop your head, man, because that's how I feel about it too. When I first heard about this due diligence, I'm like, what is that? You're licensed in 3 other states. Do those other states have the similar due diligence?
No, just North Carolina. I think South Carolina is working on getting that. But yeah, just North and South Carolina, I think, is starting it.
What is the purpose of the due diligence?
Basically, for the seller, to give the seller more leverage, is basically showing the seller that the buyer is serious about buying their house. But the only thing about that is, even if the buyer changes their mind the next day, if both parties sign that purchase and sale agreement, and that buyer changes their mind, then the seller gets to keep their money.
Man, I knew somebody that made like a little grip because they got a nice size due diligence. I don't know, this was in the height of it, right? And they may have got a due diligence 10, 15, 20,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And then they got all the way through up to the process, and then the buyer's financing fell through. And so they kept that due diligence and put it back on the market and got another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's how they have it set up. I mean, if you're a seller, it's a good day for you. You feel good. You really want that's going to make the buyer's offer more attractive if they have a higher due diligence amount. But to your point, yeah, they can lose it. They can have an inspection and see something on the inspection and not come to terms. They still will lose that money.
Wow.
That just don't seem right.
It don't. I mean, when I first heard about it,
Right.
years ago, I was like, I've never heard of that before, and I thought it was just a North Carolina thing. So,
Wow.
so let's shift our conversation a little bit
Okay.
to New Rent City, right? Let's talk about income property. All right.
Yes.
So there's two sides to that deal, right? The landlord and the tenant, and wanting to be a land or income property holder.
Right.
So what is it like for investors? And I know, like in Charlotte, you have these big investment companies that are like buying up, I mean, and even really nice houses. But for average investor, what do you recommend now?
So a lot of my investor clients, they're going, and my regular clients too, they're going further away from the city because that's where you can find a lot of the deals. They're going 40, 45 minutes, an hour away from any major city, and they're getting some properties that way at a pretty good rate.
I'm laughing at Harvey Jones. He put it, he said, as a seller, I would not be able to keep someone's money. It appears to me like it's like legal theft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have some sellers that have a heart and they'll give it back, but most of them are like, oh, I get to keep this legally? I'm gonna keep it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, those people, that's their down payment.
Well, and my thing is this. My thing with that, and I know this is a hot topic, right? My thing is, if you're in a position where you give your due diligence money, right? And here's the thing: you actually give that money to the seller. It is not going to the bank. It's not going to the real estate. It's not going to the closing attorney. You're actually giving those funds, and I'm sure that they require certified funds when they do that. I'm
right.
I'm pretty sure it must be certified funds. So you're actually giving those funds to that person.
Correct.
Which is, I mean, that's a leap of faith right there, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't know this guy, this lady, I don't know this seller from anybody else, right? And I'm gonna go and give them a check, a sizable check. But that's the process, right?
Right.
So so you give them this check. Now, if that deal falls through, as a buyer, where am I going to come up with another due diligence? Because that might have been my one shot.
Yeah. I mean, the whole this whole process of buying a house, and that's why I sit down with all of my clients up front. It's a faith walk, and it's a risk. And the due diligence, there's not one set amount that you have to pay. And we as real estate agents, we can't tell you how much to put toward due diligence, but we can tell you what will be attractive probably, to that seller. So that's
so it's not like the standard, like it's 10% of the sale price or 5%.
Right.
10%, that'd be huge.
It's
more
usually 1%. It's usually 1% of the purchase price.
Okay.
That's how it was. But then we had all this highest and best where they're competing against investors. So, if you don't have more money to go over, what's going to make your offer more attractive? It's going to be the due diligence money and a shorter close date.
And Harvey Jones, to answer your question, it does go to the cost of the home. It is part of the price. It's not if you win the house, if you win the bid and you're able to close on that house, it doesn't really hurt you at all because it is part of the overall price. Overall, it brings the cost of that home down. The purchase It doesn't bring the purchase price down, but you're paying part of it in cash. And so now, if you're getting financed, does that due diligence money, like if you are financing through a traditional lender, and let's just say it's not an FHA loan and you got to bring 10% or 20% down, that due diligence money is part of that down payment. Am I correct?
It is credited toward it.
It is credited towards. Okay. So, but the ones I feel bad or is if you do it and then something happens and you can't close on the house.
Right.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I haven't had a lot of clients to go through that. But I heard a lot about that. It's crazy.
Well, that's good. I mean, that tells us something about you as a realtor, right? Because you don't want your people to go through that, and so you need to make sure that everybody's screened and you're not putting them out there. So, so is that the same with income property?
With income property, you mean like for investment properties?
Yeah.
Yeah, you still have to put down due diligence money in North Carolina if it's a resale. Now, if you're buying new construction, it's just earnest money. But if it's a resale, then that's when you have to pay due diligence.
So no due diligence on new construction.
On new construction.
Whether it's for personal or commercial or income.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because if it was, man, I could see some contractors, boy, they be licking their chops on that, right? So Alice Martin asked, is there a write-off if the buyer's loss? So if that's an interesting tax question, right?
Yeah.
If I put due diligence money down for a house and I end up losing that due diligence money, can I write that off on my taxes?
I don't, that's out of my. I don't know for sure. Yeah. It sounds like you should be able to, but I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like you should be able to.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. We need to find that out. Yeah, if there's a CPA watching tonight, answer that question for us in the chat. If there's a CPA watching tonight. So is it still a good idea? It's still a good idea to buy some income property.
Yes.
How do you feel about like normal rental property versus Airbnb or what is it? The other one, is it Home Away? I know there's a couple.
They're all the same. Yeah.
So regular rental property, I still think that if it's in a regular city, I mean, anytime you buy income property, I think in this market it's going to be good because it's a shortage of people that can actually buy a house. So that's the reason why I came up with the idea of New Rent City, because it seems like every people are renting everywhere, and that's kind of the direction that everything is going. So I still think it's a good time to get regular rental property. As far as Airbnbs, I would say like destination locations, like if it's somewhere near a beach or it's a major city that everybody wants to go near a major attraction. I think that's a good areas for you to have Airbnbs. But regular cities, or regular areas, I'm not really sure. It just kind of depends.
Yeah. So if someone, what advice would you give? We're gonna do both of these, right? We're gonna say, if I'm watching the show tonight, we got about 10 minutes left. I'm watching the show tonight and I want to purchase a home. What's 2 or 3 steps that I need to be doing right now for my personal resident? And then I want to ask the same question for income property.
Okay. If you're a personal resident that's looking to buy, make sure you save money, at least $4,000 to $5,000. Make sure you have a credit score of at least a 580, and make sure you call the professionals. Call me or somebody on my team, so I can get you set up with a loan officer so we can kind of see where you're at. Because some people, they just start paying off things off their credit, and you may not have to pay off those things. I know, like medical bills. They don't really count medical bills anymore. So definitely get with your real estate agent so I can get you with a loan officer so we can get you a game plan.
All right. So on the income property side.
On income property side, make sure you do your research on the area and the property that you want to get. What type of property? I would start small. If you're just getting in the game, I wouldn't get a big house. And start with a smaller house and kind of work your way up. I know to get financing, usually you have to have at least 20% down. So make sure you have your 20% so you can get your income property. There's hard money loans out there that you can get to, but just make sure you do your research and talk to me so I can get you a game plan.
So okay, so we got the 20% down for the income property. What about like a fourplex or are you seeing people where they're living in, or even a duplex where they're living in one side, renting out the other, or those type of things? What's your recommendation?
I have seen some clients. I haven't had any of my clients do that, but I've heard of clients on one side and living on one side and then renting out the other side. So basically, the other side where they're renting it out is basically paying for the whole
mortgage
property. Yeah. So that's definitely a good look. You can find something like that.
Fix and flip.
Fix and flip. I haven't personally. I haven't dealt a lot with that. I know my man Sean, he does that all the time, but I haven't done a lot of those.
Yeah, and I think it's always again, and my thing is if you're gonna do that, fix and flip or one of those type of things, is you got to really make sure that the person you're dealing with knows what they're talking about, because you can lose your shirt.
Yes.
On a fix and flip, and everybody's watching HGTV, right?
That's good and bad, because everybody feels as though they don't need a real estate agent. They know everything because they see everything on HGTV. You show me 3 houses, I'm gonna pick one and go under contract. No, it's not.
Right.
It don't work like that.
Nah, it might be 10 houses. It might be 20.
They don't show you all the other houses that they see.
Right. They just
Other
show you
15.
This was an amazing thing for us. This is an amazing thing for us. We looked at one house and made one offer.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, one house, one offer. And it was, let me tell you something. It was strictly the Lord. There's no explanation for it, right? There was no explanation for it other than just God. I mean, it was God's timing, his intent. And he used a gentleman called Sean Langston and Letitia. I mean, them are my peeps, right? But it was really God. I mean, it was, and I know how unusual that is in this market, and to be way under the appraised value too. I mean, it's a hand of God, period, for sure.
Yeah, that's a best case scenario, and it happens like that sometimes, but it really helps to have professionals. It's kind of frame everything for you, let you know what to expect. And like you said, and it's about relationships too. I know they know a lot of people. We know a lot of people. So, you want to kind of have a realtor that's in the know, because that helps a lot.
Well, tell us a little bit about EXP too. I mean, because I know, there's the Remax, and you got Century 21, and you got Keller Williams. So tell us a little bit about EXP. What makes EXP unique, or why you end up at EXP? There's got to be something, right?
Well, I like the whole movement of what Sean was doing with all of us getting together collectively and making a movement and making a difference in people's lives. But EXP is on the cutting edge of technology. I like their support that they have there. I was actually with another company, and I recently just went to EXP about 3 months ago. But I think it's on the cutting edge of technology, and you want to get with a winning team. You want to be around like-minded individuals that are looking to win and looking to help people. And me and Sean had the same type of heart, so that's the reason why I partnered up with him.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Gotcha.
It was more so the movement than the company. The company is great too, but it's just me putting an idea of me partnering up with somebody to make something big.
Well, I think sometimes it's not the car, but it's who you're in the car with.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think just being around, like you mentioned, being around like-minded people, that there's a direction. and we want to be a part of a movement. I mean, we
Mhm.
want to be a part of a movement, and I think it's great that what you guys are doing. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, uh, and they wanted to work with you, how do we do that? How does our people who are watching this tonight or watching the replay, how do they get in touch with the Rapping Real Estate Agent?
And
Right.
I'm not gonna be. I don't rap all day, so I conduct business. Me and my team, we put like anywhere between 50 to 100 people in houses a year. So we do a lot, but they can get in touch with me on my phone at 678-761-5198, or they can hit me up on all social media outlets under Ed, the Rapping Real Estate Agent, or Ava Home Group.
Awesome. I'm gonna put this in here. We got 678
761
61
5198.
5198. I think there we go. There we go. So that's your number. If someone wants to get in touch with you, have a conversation. Thank you there for taking care of that, Dante. If someone wants to have a conversation, those are the digits that they can call. Any last question, Michelle, for Ed? We're so interested in this real estate thing, man. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of time, but we're really interested in this piece of the generational wealth, because
Yes.
you can't pass on an apartment, you can't pass on a rent, but you
Mhm.
can pass on real estate, and they're not making anymore. And he said, go possess the land, and so we have to begin to possess the land. I think that's important. So
Yeah, I do too. And I, when I first started, I didn't even want to buy a house. It was my wife that had to convince me that it was importance of buying a house. I was good in an apartment, but since we bought that one house, we had 5 more since then, and we took one house to pay off. After we sold that, we paid off more bills, and then we bought another house, and then we got bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's I was hard headed before, so I know how that feels. So that's the reason why I'm passionate, and I want to share that with my people, because it can definitely change your life.
Yes.
awesome. Generational wealth, man. Generational wealth. And the scary thing is when we start talking about the racial wealth gap um, in our country, much of it can go back to real estate.
Right.
Yes.
And really, we can go all the way back to the GI Bill when the soldiers were coming home from war. A lot of the GIs were getting a GI Bill and buying homes.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of our soldiers were being denied the GI Bill.
Right.
And you got to think about most people, a great deal of their net worth, their wealth is wrapped up into their real estate holdings.
Right.
And if we are not participating, if we're not in that game, you can have all the cars you want, but you need some hard real estate and
Right.
some investments and some insurance and da 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 da. All these things that we talk about to create generational wealth. So I think that's what's so important about what you guys do. And just, it's like anything, having someone that you can trust
Mm-hmm.
and knows the business. Because how many real estate agents how many people that got their real estate license and they there's probably more people get their real estate license than insurance license.
Oh yeah.
And the average insurance agent stay around 18 months.
Yeah.
Statistically, they stay in the business 18 months.
Wow.
And so I'm sure real estate is the same way. You have a lot of people who get the real estate license but aren't necessarily in it as a profession. It's like
Right.
side hustle. It's that type of thing. So I appreciate the professionals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I said we've been here 14 years and we've been through the ups and downs. I actually got my license when the market crashed, and everybody looked at me like, "What are you doing?" And fast forward to now, I'm glad I stayed with it.
Well, and I think this, and not to prolong it, what I saw is this: when Rich Dad Poor Dad came out, everybody wanted to get into real estate.
Right.
Everybody wanted to get Robert Kiyosaki, he put real estate on the market. Everybody wanted to be an investor. And I think it had a lot to do. And then, people were, they were getting home loans. I'm talking, prior to 2008, right? They were getting homes on stated income, right?
Right.
Not even having to prove their income and all these things. And people were buying homes that were way over their affordability.
Right.
That whole thing, the ratios that we look at, like I believe your housing expense should be 30% or less.
Yep.
Mhm.
All of your bills should be like 40% or less of your income. They were blowing that thing out of the water, right? People were way over their heads in loans, and and that caused that crash, and it was ugly.
Yeah.
It was.
But I don't think it's going to be the same way. Like I said, I think the market is going to shift and correct itself, but I don't think it's going to be like 08.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't learn from that back then, shame on us, right? And
Right.
I even though the house prices are really high, I don't see, as far as I know, you guys work with it every day, but I don't see where that same type of lending practices is taking place. And I think that's where really it got it, because the money was so easy for people to get. Um, and so yeah, I think that's very important. So I don't think we'll go down that road again either. So
Right. I
all
agree.
right. Well, listen, it was a great show. I want to remind everyone of a couple things. I want to remind you of to catch my radio show at 7:30 a.m. Set your alarm clock. Um, Tell your rooster, well, however way you get up, to get you up at 7:30 on Saturday morning for the Real Money Coach show on Praise 100.9. Generational Wealth meeting every Thursday at 7 p.m. with Dr. George Frazier. And a lot going on. And I want you, man, if y'all have not linked up with Michelle Mitchell Consulting on LinkedIn, you're missing some great information. The content that Michelle puts out on, and I'm not as into Instagram. Now, listen, they keep telling me you gotta get into Instagram, you gotta get your Instagram game up, you gotta get your Instagram game up. They keep telling me that. I know, but the content that Michelle puts out, man, you pay a lot of money to have that type of information. And I hear that you really got the social media game down too. So
Yeah, I do a little something. I do a little something. And a funny story about me and social media, I was totally against it about 5 years ago. It was my sister. She kind of helped me get that going. I didn't see the need to post what food I ate and all that
Right.
stuff. I was like, I didn't want nothing to do with it. But she was like, anybody that's doing business, you have to be on social media, or you really don't exist.
yeah.
Mhm.
And this is, we in a world of scammers, right? So
True.
everybody's scammers. So the first thing they're gonna do, they're gonna look on your social media, check out your website, just to make sure you're legit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Before they even call you.
All you. Yes, they do.
I know, that's what my wife keeps telling me. You better get your Instagram, because when I want to know something about somebody, a hairdresser, I go look at their Instagram, right? Hey, listen, Dante is rolling across the screen, iPadYourMoney.com. Remember, you can go to iPadYourMoney.com, claim your book right there, and you can claim it for free by using the discount code IPAD, all caps 100, and the book is yours for free. I'm sending books out, y'all. I'm moved. I got my printer up. I'm ready to go. So go ahead and order your book tonight. If you don't have it ordered by Friday, you're going to have to wait till next week. So they are going out. Hey, Ed, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming on the radio show. I appreciate us finishing that conversation tonight. And y'all, if y'all looking for a realtor, man, give Ed a call. Give Ed a call. This is a good brother. Let's do it, man. Let's make this thing happen.
Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate y'all.
All right.
All right, that's it for tonight. It's been a great show. Y'all have a good week, and we'll see you right back here next week at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. Take us home, Dante.